So I was like, maybe he's not gonna find anybody, anywhere for me to go. I may have to sleep outside. I may have to sleep at the park. Maybe I'll find a shelter. I was just thinking of what to do. And he called me back and he was like, listen, I have a friend of mine and her husband, their son is away at school. You can, they've agreed for you to stay for a day. For me to find you somewhere, that will keep you for that week or whatever. And so he took me to this beautiful home, all the way out, beautiful home. And the husband and wife were Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, and their son was away at college. Okay, and so they allowed me to sleep in their son's home. And when I went into the room, when I went into the house, it was just, you could just sense the love in the house. It was just so much love in that house. I just felt that it embraced me when I came in the door. These people didn't know me from a can of paint, and they let me sleep in their house. But they trusted the person that gave them the, hey, okay, she's fine, let her stay here. So I'm in that room that night. I'll never forget it. I was crying my eyes out. I wasn't loud because I didn't want them to feel, hear me crying, and I didn't want them to think I was ungrateful for, them letting me stay in their son's room. And I looked around his room and I saw all the stuff he had. And I remember a computer, a desk or something like that. The room was just filled with so much of, his personality, things he liked or whatever, and his bed was so comfortable. I remember, feeling the love in that room, that he was just so adored, he was so cared about. And I just was thinking to God, at this time, just for people who don't know, my mother had been murdered. She had been murdered 8 years earlier. She was stabbed 31 times to death. And then my father, at the time, I expected him to take me, and I was at the burial, saw my dad, and he kept going. And so I was in foster care from that day my mother died until I aged out of 21. But anyways, my father left me there. I don't know, I didn't talk to him for some years after that, but yeah, I didn't know what was going to go on. So this young man had mother, father, love, a bed, a warm bed, a home, a place to call home. He had somewhere to come back to. If he was coming home from college, he had somewhere to be. And I just was crying out to the Lord, and my heart, my tears were my prayers that night. I was thinking about how much this young man was loved, and nobody loved me like that. I knew my sister loved me. I knew that. My sister Kiana, that's a given. But it was like I was just, and my cousin Big Q. You got to remember, we were all kids at that point, or teenagers, kids and teenagers. And so I knew my cousin Big Q loved me.